Good morning, Northwest Indiana, and welcome to PNW Today on WJOB. We are here in the Strachan Van Til studios here at Purdue Northwest on September 12th, 2024, and we have got a great show lined up this morning. Don't we, folks?
Yes.
We do.
I think we do. We're going to be talking all about the phenomenal slate of activities happening for Hispanic Heritage Month at Purdue Northwest, and also some very exciting developments that have occurred in recent months as PNW has emerged as the largest Hispanic serving institution in the state of Indiana. So a lot of really cool things going on at the university. In studio with me this morning, I have three wonderful guests. To my right, I have, actually I'm going to start a little bit further. I'm all the way over to my right. I have Mr. Jorge Lopez, who is the Director of TRIO Student Support Services. How you doing this morning, Jorge?
Doing great.
Excellent. Edie Sanchez, who is the Director of Hispanic Serving Institution Initiatives. And to my immediate right, I have Jasmine Rodriguez, who is a senior elementary education major at PNW with a concentration in special education and minors in Spanish and psychology. That's a whole lot.
Yes.
Got a lot going on. And Jasmine is also the social media director for Unidos, which is a student organization on campus, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that. But first, the news. So, coming up at PNW, we have the STEM Industry Job Fair. Come and network with potential employers. Join PNW's Career Center at the STEM Career Fair from 3 to 6 p.m. on Tuesday, September 17th at the Fitness and Recreation Center on the Hammond campus. Fair is a business casual networking event for students and alumni of PNW who are seeking full-time employment and internships in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. All students and PNW alumni interested in STEM-related employment are encouraged to participate in the event. For more information, visit pnw.edu/career-center. Also coming up, we have the 2024 PNW Chancellor's Invitational Golf Outing. Register today for the golf outing, which will be held on Monday, September 23rd at Sand Creek Country Club in Chesterton. The PNW Pride are in their 8th year of competing in the NCAA Division II and the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, which consists of more than 500 student athletes on 21 teams. The event benefits student athlete scholarships at PNW. For more information or to register, visit pnwathletics.com. Also, we have several other athletic events coming up. Come out and support the Pride. You can catch PNW women's soccer in action on Friday, September 13th at 4 p.m. against Tiffin, and men's soccer on Tuesday, September 17th at 4 p.m. against St. Xavier. I think I saw something recently where our men's soccer team is nationally ranked for the first time in program history, which is pretty cool. Major shout out to our athletics. All home soccer games are played at Dowling Park in Hammond, right here off the Borman Expressway. The PNW women's volleyball team will host Michigan Tech at 6 p.m. on Friday, September 20th, followed by a matchup with Northern Michigan on Saturday, September 21st at 2 p.m. Both games will be played at PNW's Fitness and Recreation Center in Hammond. For all Pride Athletics information, visit pnwathletics.com. And that is it for the news. So we're ready to start talking about some really cool things going on for Hispanic Heritage Month. So again, here at PNW Today at WJOB, I'm Matt Wells, Chief Engagement Officer at Purdue Northwest. We've already introduced our guests, and so I'm going to give each of them a little bit of a chance to talk about themselves and their role at the university and things that are coming up on the calendar this month for Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'll start with Edis. Edis, tell the folks a little bit about what you're working on right now.
Well, we are working on all things Hispanic Heritage Month, but this week we are celebrating Hispanic Serving Institution Week, and this is the first year that we get to celebrate HSI Week, as we are just recently were designated a Hispanic Serving Institution. So we had lots of great events. We had a welcome rally. We had a HSI Placita. We turned one of the point into kind of a Latino resource center for the day. We've had panels this whole week, and today we end our celebration with a big celebration in Founders Plaza with a live DJ, with a special performance that will be a surprise, food, and lots of giveaways. So it'll be on campus from 11 to 2 today.
Idris, tell our listeners a little bit more about what does it mean for PNW to be a Hispanic serving institution?
Well, our community is largely Hispanic in the area, so it's great to see the reflection also within our campus. We are at about almost 28% Hispanic students on our campus, and it's amazing to be able to be Hispanic serving and being the largest Hispanic serving institution in Indiana, and actually serve our students who are doing a great job at having programming and different initiatives that serve our community and our students.
That's outstanding. So, and this is an official designation through
The
US
Department of Education, yes.
Right? It had been a long time in coming, and finally came through. So we're
Yes,
very
and I
excited
believe we
about
surpassed the expectations.
that. Yes, no question, as we often do here at Purdue Northwest. So, Jorge, tell me a little bit about your role and what you're working on right now and things coming up in your world.
Yeah, so I am the Director of TRIO Student Support Services. We are a program that focuses on making sure that our first-generation college students, meaning that they'd be getting a 4-year bachelor's degree before their parents do, making sure that our first-gen college students are students that are considered low income and are students with disabilities, and make sure that they graduate. And so we have about 200 students that are in our program, and we have very personalized programming, and they have advisors that are just making sure that they're staying on track and providing some really awesome experiences outside of the classroom. So we go on graduate school visits, exposing them to what is graduate school, how do I pay for it, financial literacy, career development, academic coaching and tutoring, and so they get all types of resources to make sure that they're doing really well academically and making sure that they're ready for what life is after they graduate.
Boy, that sounds like a lot of stuff that I wish that I had had when I was going through school.
Same.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, Jasmine, tell us a little bit about your experience as a student here at PNW who's very involved in student organizations and, a long list of things that you're working on academically. Tell us a little bit about yourself and things that Unidos and other things that are going on.
Yeah, so my name's Jasmine Rodriguez, and I'm the social media director for Unidos, which is a student organization here on campus. It's open to all students. You don't have to be Latino. And the way I always like to just phrase it is that we're just like a family. We have lots of diversity that, thankfully we've been open and we've just been accepting to all students. So we actually have a meeting today if you guys are interested in attending at 5:30. But I work for Edie's too in her office, in the HSI office, and I'm also a TRIO student. So I do have a long list.
So you see these two pretty often.
Yes, they're basically like my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for Edie's, we do a lot in her office. We do from social media to marketing to just exposing students and then just like organizing events. And then in TRIO, I sometimes do their social media posts, but I'm mainly there as a student and just soak in everything that they have to offer.
Fantastic. And you're a senior this year. You've
Yes.
got another year and a half left before
Yes,
graduation.
a year.
Yeah, very good. What are your plans after you graduate?
I actually have a meeting with Jorge. I'm interested in going to grad school and just pursuing to get my master's to keep furthering my education.
That's fantastic. Jorge knows a thing or two about that. Jorge
Yes.
started in career development here at PNW. That's been
A few years,
5-6 years ago now. Yeah, time flies, I tell you. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Well, as I'm looking through here, we've got so many phenomenal things on the calendar coming up this month. I mean, it seems like there's something every day, or maybe multiple somethings just about every day. So, Edie, tell us a little bit about some of these phenomenal programs. We've got, very illustrious guest speaker, a former Surgeon General of the United States. We've got all kinds of festivals and fun events. Tell us a little bit about what folks can expect out of Hispanic Heritage Month.
Well, I'll highlight kind of like the big ones, and I'll let Jorge and Jasmine talk about some of the other ones. But we will have, the 14th Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. Antonia Novello. She will be speaking, and she has a new book called Duty Calls. It's on Amazon. We will have copies of the book, and she'll be signing the book right after the event. We're inviting lots of local high schools to come and participate. I think we already have over 300 students that are going to be attending from local high schools. We hope to have over 400. It's going to be such an amazing experience to be able to meet the 14th Surgeon General of the United States. She's an amazing woman and an amazing speaker if you haven't had the opportunity to hear her speak. And then we, of course, have our Hispanic Heritage Month Festival, so our 4th annual festival on the 22nd of September from 12 to 4 in our parking garage. So if it rains, we're still good. And we'll have a tropical kind of salsa. They're playing salsa, bachata, cumbias band. We'll also have a regional Mexican band. We'll have a young performance group of salsa dancers, their youth team. We'll have a DJ. We'll have lots of food vendors, lots of artisanal vendors. It's a great opportunity to bring your family and come out and celebrate with us here on PNW. And also the great thing is lots of our different departments and colleges will be tabling at the event. Baja Club always brings their Baja car. So, and Nursing Club always comes and they do basic vital things on there that people could get done. And so it's a really great opportunity to come. And then we, of course, have our Somos Excelencia dinner where we will be giving out our Somos PNW scholarships and awards. So.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And the date for the speaking engagement for Dr. Novella is
September 27th.
27th, fantastic.
At 10 a.m.
Very good. Jorge, what are some things that are in TRIO? How do you work with the folks here in studio, but also other colleagues, to make sure our students are connecting with these kinds of resources?
Yeah, so at PNW, we have a cultural heritage committee. And so there are lots of different ways that the university is really making sure that our students feel welcome, that they are learning and being educated, uplifting. I went to a school that only had 3% of students that look like me. And so it was just, a lot of times I wondered if I belonged. I don't think our students necessarily feel that. I mean, there are so many opportunities for students to engage and feel like they do belong. We have Black History Month, Women's History Month, Pride Month, that we're making sure that students of all types of identities make sure that they have a sense of belonging. So a lot of our students overlap with the various identities. 40% of our students are Hispanic, over 30% of our students are Black, and we're making sure that we are promoting every single event. Usually we're telling students, hey, TRIO is going to be at this event, come with us. And we have usually a really good turnout from our TRIO students that are there.
Oh, that's fantastic. And as a Hispanic serving institution, there are a lot of different programs that are available at a federal level to provide extra student support services. One of the other really, I think, interesting things that our listeners may not know, a lot of the new federal funding that's coming for scientific research and development, for entrepreneurship, for things that universities have historically done for a very long time, but there are now programs that are specifically incentivizing Hispanic serving institutions, HBCUs, other federally designated minority serving institutions, and bringing resources to the schools now that will help to broaden the kind of research and startup ecosystems and things like that in places that maybe historically haven't had that level of support. So that's exciting.
And if I could just jump in again, I wanted to emphasize something that Edie said earlier, is that this is for the community. So anyone that's listening can attend. My kids join regularly for these events. They look forward to it. I have a colleague, Christina Maldonado, whose kids and my kids have become friends just from going to these festivals and fun events. Like my kids learned some salsa dancing or practiced some salsa dancing. I try to do it at home, but they got to do it and see college students, and they're like, wow. Those people are cool, right? They're college students, but to my 7 and 6-year-old, they're the coolest people in the world. And so, regularly getting engaged with our PNW community, we love to make sure that the community at large is also welcome and attending.
Yeah, I'm going to have to brush up on the 2 semesters of ballroom dance I did in college. Kind of get back to my my salsa and rumba and merengue.
Nice. I'd love to see that.
So I've got what, like 3 weeks to get in shape for that.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Jasmine, so you've been at PNW now for 3-4 years,
Yeah,
roughly. Yeah.
3 years.
What are some of the experiences that you've had as a student that have been really significant and have kind of defined your time here at PNW?
So I think just having like all these opportunities for Hispanics and Latinos, but just also knowing that it's not just for us, it's for everybody. And again, brushing up on the fact that it is for the community. So when I first started here, I didn't really reach out. I went home, went to school, and that was it. And it wasn't until my second year where I said, okay, I'm going to join TRIO just to get more out there. And then they actually did, like, they provide you with a newsletter, said, this is what we're doing, this is what's available on campus. So because of TRIO is where I met some fellow friends, and then they introduced me to Edie's. So it's just been like a ladder that's been climbing.
Snowball started rolling.
Yes. But yeah, I think that, just being a student here, knowing we have all these resources, and just seeing the calendar of events too also helps, because it's like, okay, it's not just one event, it's multiple events that are designed for students and for the community as well.
That's phenomenal. And I've noticed in recent years just how much more we're doing and the quality of what we're doing. It's both quantity and quality have increased considerably in a lot of our programming. Yuris, I was thinking just yesterday about the timeline and the trajectory from when we started talking a few years ago about PNW's path towards becoming an HSI. We've had so much support from leaders in our community, business and civic leaders and politicians, and in particular, I have to give a shout out to Representative Mike Andrade, who has been the chair of our HSI advisory board, and so many other folks, Dr. Benavente, and tell us a little bit about kind of the group, this effort in becoming an HSI. There were many supporters, and it really took a village. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Well, I came into this process almost in February. It'll be 3 years that I'm here, and I think at that time we were at like about 23%, and you have to hit 25% for the Department of Education to receive the official designation. So it was a labor of love between, like as you mentioned, our HSI advisory board that's made of some very impactful, very important leaders in the community, such as Representative Mike Andrade, former Chancellor of Ivy Tech, Louis Gonzalez, Executive Director of the Food Bank, Victor Garcia, Attorney Alfredo Estrada, Cindy Rivera, just to name a few of our amazing,
and many more,
amazing board members. But really, I would have to say it was campus-wide effort that everyone at Purdue, this was important to leadership, it was important to all the colleges, it was important to staff and faculty. We have an HSI employee group on campus that, without them, I don't think, they were really impactful in trying to help recruit. Our recruitment team is amazing. Shout out to Julie Wijak, their admissions team. The recruiters just do such a great job, and I was out there on the road with them. And I think it was just a whole campus-wide effort because we really wanted to see this happen for our university and for our community.
It's been really inspiring to watch, and we're going to hear a lot more about that do a deeper dive later in the show with Vice Chancellor Depew and our new provost.
Yes, who's also been like our biggest champion, Vice Chancellor Depew, with all our HSI efforts.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. Jorge, tell us a little bit about your background. You started in career development and helping students kind of figure out what they wanted to be when they grew up, and now you're doing an even broader set of things, leading the TRIO program. What are you seeing in terms of trends among our students? What are the things that they're most concerned about? What are they looking to do after school? What's the perspective right now of the students that come to your office?
Sure. So about 56% of our students at PNW are first-generation college students, and so a lot of times our students don't know what they don't know, and but at least they're asking questions and seeing, what are ways that I can get involved, I can develop my skills. Jasmine, for example, she has said yes to many things. And because of that, she's developed some really amazing skills. And Edie's has some awesome student workers that are overlap with my students, where they're getting some really awesome employability skills, marketable skills that they can articulate to future employers. And so with my background in career development, and one of my favorite things is helping students develop their skills so that they can articulate this to future employers, so that they can really lead a promising legacy for their own future generations. And so I think students they want to get involved outside of the classroom. They just don't know how. And so that's where we step in and help provide those different types of opportunities and go on employer site visits. Recently we went to a top 5 accounting firm in Plant Moran in Chicago, and students they have never been in a corporate setting before. And so they got to see what that was like. And so, I just love providing those different types of opportunities so students can really see what their future might look like if they say yes, like Jasmine did.
It's a lot easier to imagine yourself in something when you've seen it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And I want to piggyback off of something you just said. The opportunity landscape that we try to create here. I know our Chancellor Holford has talked quite a bit just in his first few months here in the role about PNW's emphasis on generating opportunities that create social and economic mobility for our students and uplift the community. Boy, all the stuff that we're talking about here this morning, I think, is a really prime example of that. Jasmine, you will be, let's see, so you're a senior this year. You've got elementary education, special education, Spanish, and psychology.
Yes.
You got a broad range of things that you're studying. That's very cool. How do you see all of those kind of fitting together into what you might do next in grad school and beyond?
Yeah, so I didn't start off with elementary education. I started off with criminal justice, but then I found like a passion for teaching, and then especially in the special education world, and then Spanish. I'm Mexican, so Spanish has always been part of my life. And psychology, I really do feel like you need that, elementary education with psychology that just, goes hand in hand to get to understand the children as well. But furthering on my education, I really just want to be able to, shape the future generations as I was shaped. And then just, I feel like I was really put into the world, having people like Jorge and Edie's, where, I can just, soak in everything that they have to offer. So then those are all just aspects that I carry along in my little notebook, and then just, I'm willing to teach it all and just give it to all the future generations that are to come.
I think that's a great example of how relationships really make the world go round.
Yes.
And learning from others, and boy, we need teachers right now. There's certainly a critical need for teachers, both at the elementary level, secondary. It's wonderful when I hear from students that are pursuing that path, because those are the folks that are the kind of the building block.
Yes.
Layer of our society are our educators, and
Yes.
it's so very important. So kudos to you for following that passion, and
Thank you.
I'm sure you're going to change a lot of lives in the future.
Thank you.
So Edis, tell us a little bit more. I'm looking at a couple of these events here that we have coming up. El Grito. ¿Qué es el grito?
So I believe this is like Spanish Club's 10th annual Grito celebration. So we have a Spanish Club on campus. It's very diverse. One of our more popular student organizations on campus, where students of all backgrounds that want to learn the language and the culture can come to this club and practice their Spanish, learn about all of different Latin American cultures. But they host this event on September 16th or around that time for not only Mexican Independence Day, but it's the independence of several Latin American countries like El Salvador, Costa Rica, Honduras, just to name a few, in those days, like the 16th, 17th, 18th. And they recite the famous grito for Dolores Hidalgo. He was a famous priest that kind of sounded the bell and kind of was like the war cry of independence of Mexico from Spain, and which inspired the rest of like Latin America to also revolt against the Spanish. But they do the grito. They invite a mariachi. Remember, they have Aztec dancers. So this year they're going to have a mariachi performer, and they're going to have Aztec dancers, and they're going to have food, and they usually have loteria and tabling. And it's a great community event. It's open to the community. It's from 5 to 7:30 p.m. in Founders Plaza. And
that's coming up this coming Monday.
Yeah, this coming up this Monday. So that's kind of like one of the kickoff events on the Hammond campus. And then at the same time, on from 12 to 2 during the Power in Westville, we'll be doing a Hispanic Heritage Month kickoff with the DJ. And we're giving T-shirts away, and we'll have snacks and different tabling. So we're starting the month. Right.
We're going to have a lot of fun this
Yes.
month, aren't we, folks? Well, we're down to 1 minute here before the break. I'm going to give each of you just a real quick opportunity. What are you most excited about coming up this month during Hispanic Heritage Month? Let's start with you, Jasmine.
I'm really excited for the festival. I'm also going to be a vendor there, but just seeing all the organizations, people, and then the community especially come out, because, not all the time do family members get to come to the school and just, see where their child attends school. So I'm really excited about that one.
That's great.
I'm excited about Dr. Novello.
That's pretty special. We really, we don't see speakers of that caliber too often.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Unidos has Anything for Salinas event
Yes.
that's happening. Jasmine could probably speak more to it as she's one of the officers. But it's one that my kids really look forward to as well. And again, I like to take them to a bunch of events. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I appreciate all of you coming in this morning and sharing some of the wonderful things that are happening during Hispanic Heritage Month. We're going to take a little break here and come back in the second half of the show with Dr. Elizabeth Depew, our Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management and Student Affairs, and our new Provost, Dr. Maria Mora, here on PNW Today. And we're back here on PNW Today, here in the Strachan Van Til Studios at Purdue University Northwest's Hammond campus. September 12th, 2024. We're talking about Hispanic Heritage Month, PNW as a Hispanic serving institution. And we have two new guests with us here now on the second half of the show. To my right, we have Dr. Elizabeth Babcock Depew, who is our Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management and Student Affairs. How are you this morning, Liz?
Great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. We have a beautiful day here on campus and a whole lot of exciting things going on, I think, here.
Absolutely.
And of course, Yadi Sanchez is still here with us in the studio, our Director of Hispanic Serving Institution Initiatives. And all the way to the right, I have Dr. Marie Mora, who is the new Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs here at Purdue Northwest, who's been on the show before and introduced to the community. So we're going to pivot a little bit. We talked a lot in the first half of the show about some community-facing events, a lot of programs that are going on for our students. We're going to talk a little bit now in the second half of the show about the other elements and aspects of being a Hispanic serving institution and really what that means to the academic mission of the institution, as well as the other benefits and resources that are available to us for our students because of that status. So I think I'll throw this over to you, Marie. Tell us a little bit about what this means, this designation as an Hispanic serving institution from the perspective of the Chief Academic Officer.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, and I'm very excited to be here, and it is a very beautiful day. That's an excellent question. One of the things that we know with Hispanic serving institutions, it is a federal designation, meaning that an institution, or it's identifies institutions that have at least 25% of their student body who identify as being Hispanic or Latino. One of the things that from a chief academic officer point of view is that we need to be careful that when we're looking at student success, I mean student success is everything that we're focusing on, it should be about everything that we're doing, that we're not letting some students fall behind. Many institutions located in places like Texas, New Mexico, California, just by this sheer virtue of the demographics of the local population have been HSIs, and many of them have been HSIs for many years. What I'm very excited about here at Purdue University Northwest is that we are newly designated HSI. It does reflect changes in our demographics of the region. The population in the area has been growing for the first time in decades, and a lot of that population growth is being driven by Hispanics and Latinos, which means we are, from an institutional point of view, still meeting our mission in terms of educating Northwest Indiana residents and beyond. But we do need to make sure that as we have changing demographics, that we continue to have supports that will help our students, all of our students succeed. And so this is an exciting time in the history of Purdue University Northwest.
I understand you know a thing or two about demographics as a labor economist.
Absolutely, yes. One of my things I'm very interested in. So, and just looking at how demographics as they change, what that means even for institutions of higher education, that we need to be adaptable and flexible to meet students where they're at.
Absolutely. That's something that I know many of us have been very excited about here at the university, having Dr. Mora as a nationally renowned labor economist at a pretty important time in Northwest Indiana's history as we see our population growing and changing, as well as the nature of work changing and what implications that has for our students. I'm going to keep it with you for just a second. Tell us a little bit about your perspective, thinking as a labor economist. What do you see on the horizon as trends in the workforce that our students need to be paying attention to?
Yes.
And our listeners.
Great question. So one of the things that we know is that the nature of the workforce is changing. The available jobs are changing. Structure of jobs is changing quite a bit. Many of them are becoming more technical in aspect. We've seen, obviously, like the growth of AI. And so when thinking about, as we're meeting our mission in terms of educating our students, we need to make sure that we're educating students with a curriculum that is relevant to the needs of our local industry as well as nationally. I see Northwest Indiana, again, given this renewed growth and optimism, it's a very exciting time to be here, that we need to make sure as the premier HSI and actually premier institution in the region, that we are meeting the needs of employers. Part of that is rethinking some of our curriculum and really listening and partnering with industry to find out what it is that employers are looking for and how we can best meet the needs so that when our students go through the programs that they will be successful, not just in completing their education, but thinking about as they move into the workforce. I see a bigger role for internships. I know we do have an increased interest in working with industry and other community partners to provide those. And that's a great opportunity for students to get hands-on experience as they're going to school. And I do realize a lot of our students are working already, but if they're able to get internships placed in the type of jobs that they're looking for, aspiring to have, that gives them that inside route into the work.
Absolutely, those partnerships are very important. It seems kind of like the universities and employers are working together to kind of co-create what the next generation of professional opportunities will look like. So I'm going to pivot a little bit here and ask Vice Chancellor Depew to tell us a little bit about some of the things that are going on from the student perspective. As you have built out the apparatus, you've got TRIO Student Support Services, you have IDIS working on Hispanic Serving Institution initiatives. There are a lot of things happening in your division that are absolutely crucial to not just our emergence as an Hispanic serving institution, but to our ability to succeed as a Hispanic serving institution.
Definitely. So one of the things that's really cool about being officially designated an HSI at this point is that we've met the 25%. We know that we'll have access to federal dollars and grants that we are now able to take advantage of. And so the cool thing about that is that we can take the things that we have seen that have worked, right? And we can expand on those. We can try new things. We can add new programs. And it also allows us to expand on the programs that Provost Mora was talking about, enhancing those academic programs, providing different support for faculty development and research, and it provides those opportunities for students as well. So when students are coming on campus, I think the really cool thing about us having been at the work for so long and really embracing as an institution the serving part of Hispanic Serving Institution is that the students feel it, and the employees around campus really embrace that this is the idea, this is the way that we do work. And student service is at the top of that. And so whatever that means to what the student needs, we've really been able to adapt to. So that has been very cool from the recruitment side of it, right? So we have individuals who are going out on the road. They can speak Spanish. We are going to different community places and being a part of having that community presence. We're in K-12. And not only are students seeing who they want to be when they grow up, it's now creating that opportunity for the representation and the thought process of, I might want to do that when I'm older. And so really from a very young age, all the way through that experience at the university where students are most successful when they can be their whole selves. And so when you can come into the institution and there's an Alebrije contest and there's, the Somos office, and there is, you can really embrace everything that it means and see yourself in terms of a culture and feel comfortable and learn from everyone around you and teach everyone around you what it means to be, part of your culture. And I think that is a huge advantage. And like I said, it's something that the university has really, it's part of who we are to embrace everyone and to be able to really accentuate the different cultures that make Purdue Northwest Purdue Northwest.
For our listeners that are not able to see the live stream, Vice Chancellor Depew actually has a marvelous Alebrije on her shirt this morning. So we're walking the walk here. So the thing that you just mentioned there, that the importance of these programs and resources is not limited only to our Hispanic and Latino students, but is something that benefits the entire community, whether a student identifies as Hispanic or Latino or not. There are programs and resources because of our status as an Hispanic serving institution that will elevate the student experience and faculty's experience for everybody.
Definitely.
And that's unique. And Dr. Mora, you mentioned the the institutions, some of which you have served previously in the Sun Belt and in Texas, that it's not uncommon for a higher education institution in Texas to be an Hispanic serving institution. It's a little less common in this part of the world. Talk a little bit about the uniqueness and what is distinctive about PNW now being the largest Hispanic serving institution in Indiana?
Yeah, and that's a great point, because a lot of institutions have become HSIs over the years just by their sheer location in areas where you have large Hispanic and Latino populations. And so to some extent, some of the institutions have not always given thought to the serving piece. So we say HSI, the servingness is a very important component when we think about HSIs, instead of being just Hispanic enrolling, again, by virtue of the student population. There are over 500 HSIs in the nation, which is a relatively large number, but Indiana only has 4, and we are the largest one. And so, and a newly designated HSI. And so when we can think about how we can best support all of our students, put in the programming in place, and then you hit the nail on the head, Matt, when you mentioned you don't have to be Hispanic or Latino to benefit from our HSI status. And so we're looking at other types of programming that we can do. Something that excites me too, I love data very much. And
I would expect so.
Yes. And so just thinking about our data, that as an institution we can do a better job in terms of data infrastructure and be able to monitor the progress of all of our students and identify if we need to shore up support in one area, or, hey, to say this is working and let's see, we need to continue to grow this area. So that's
Right.
something I find very exciting. And then again, just capitalizing on, as our demographics in the region change, that we need to make sure as an institution that we're meeting the students' needs, because the industry is also changing. We need to make sure that our students are prepared to be, and we need to be prepared as an institution to be adaptable and flexible to meet the needs.
And some industries are changing very quickly. When we
Yes.
look at some of the kind of historic, very important industries to the Northwest Indiana regional economy, the energy sector, manufacturing, technology in both of those sectors is evolving at a pace that we haven't seen perhaps since the first industrial wave, when Northwest Indiana kind of grew into what it was in the first place. So this, I think that's very critical to think about. And as we mentioned a little bit in the first half of the show, our Chancellor, Dr. Holford, has spoken at length about PNW's unique position as an engine for social and economic mobility in our service area here. That is sort of part and parcel to who we are as an institution, making sure that we're providing opportunities to individuals and families in Northwest Indiana and the greater Chicago area and beyond that will set them on a trajectory for success, not just for their own lifespan, but for that of their kids and their kids. And that's the power, I think, of higher education when it's done right. So.
That's right. And yeah, considering that many of our students stay, like they're from the region initially, they go through school, they graduate, and then many of them stay in the region. And so it's
We
important.
like to see that, yeah.
We do like to see that. And so it's not that we're just impacting students' lives, but we're impacting their families and then obviously the communities.
Yeah.
And I think one of the really cool things and unique things about Purdue Northwest and where we're situated and being in the Midwest, so Provost Mora mentioned over 500 HSIs across the United States. There are only 50 in the whole Midwest.
Wow.
And so we look at the only 50 in the whole Midwest, only 4 in Indiana. There are only 2 that are doctoral granting institutions. And so here is this great treasure right in the backyards of our students in Northwest Indiana, where they can not only attend a Hispanic serving institution and be able to experience all the things that we've been discussing, but they can go all the way through a doctoral degree right here.
That's incredible. You mentioned something earlier, and this kind of brought it back around, this idea of a continuum that we have been working on, not just for our mission, but also the K through 12 system, and even in the early childhood space. When you look at the importance of having kind of a seamless transition between all of those different layers of education, one of the things that I've been really pleased to see and excited about, we have this very robust partnership with Bishop Knoll Institute, for example, that has been part of our work with the Big Shoulders Fund. which is supported through the Dean and Barbara White Foundation, which of course has also been a tremendous friend to the Purdue system and here at the Northwest campus. Tell us a little bit about some of those concurrent enrollment programs that we have with high schools in the area. Bishop Knoll was just kind of the first that came to mind, but we do that with a lot of schools in the area. Yeah?
Yep. So we do have dual enrollment programs within the high schools in the area. We also go, so when the university provides, so I think education is something that we're expected to do, right? And it is a lot of the support things around that make us unique. So we have the partnerships for the academics within the high schools, and we're continuously interacting with our local schools. But the other thing is, too, is that we bring them to campus. So if we have a speaker coming in. Stephanie LaRue, who's the Chief Diversity Officer for the Central Intelligence Agency, is going to be coming in November, right? And so she's going to be able to, we're going to be able to have students coming onto campus, high school students coming onto campus to see her, hear her experience. What that is like, as well as she's going to go out into the community and have some of those conversations too. When we have, I heard Dr. Novello mentioned on the previous segment, and that's another one of the opportunities where, here through the partnerships with the high schools and the easy collaboration and the back and forth that we have, we're able to bring the students on to have that experience. I mean, who gets to hear the former Surgeon General speaking, locally in the area, and to be able to see that, to feel that. And then we also take athletes out into the schools. So we in enrollment management and student affairs, we say from youth to career. And so when we're looking at providing service from youth to career, the student athletes help with this. And when I mention that this is a whole campus effort, always, we have partners everywhere. And so the athletes will come and they will read books in our K-12 space, or K-8 space, and have those conversations with the students. We will get them into the high school spaces, and then, of course, having that exchange to be able to bring the students back and forth to campus, in addition to all of the academic programs. So
and we have STEM on the road as well.
And STEM on the road, yes.
So
Definitely.
we go to them, and they come to us.
Exactly. And it's because of those partnerships, that we're able to do that.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So I want to pivot a little bit here. I was thinking about this increasing level of support for our students and for our faculty as well. Just last year, in 2023, the federal government awarded more than $40 million to HSIs around the U.S. to expand educational opportunities and improve retention for Hispanic and Latino students. Dr. Morris, tell us a little bit about what the importance of retention. We hear in the news, and probably many of our listeners have seen in recent months and years, a lot of talk about what is the value of higher education, and students that graduate with a lot of debt, and what's the prospect and what's the return on investment. You hear that a lot, both in the national news media and more specified media, like our trade journals and things like that. But talk to us a little bit about the importance of our emphasis on retention. We have to get the students here, of course. We have to make sure that they understand the process of getting into college and the value of attending college, and what do we do to make sure that when they get here, they have a successful experience and that they achieve the academic goals that they have for themselves?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. A lot of times we tend to focus on the enrolling piece of it. So it's like, oh, we need the students to come here. It doesn't help us at all, and it does not help the students if we recruit them here and then we don't have the support for them to be able to continue. So retention is a big emphasis area for us. We are looking at ways that we can improve our student retention. I do think that as institutions of higher education, we could do a better job of marketing ourselves to try to debunk a lot of this information that's circulating about, like, what is the value of higher education. There is a huge value to higher education. Study after study indicates that it is a route, a very important road to upwards social mobility. We need to change some of that rhetoric to talk about, like, why is it? And a lot of times we think about student debt. Many of the cases that we hear about, and many times they're at large private institutions that tend to be relatively, or I won't say relatively expensive, very expensive.
In many cases.
And so if students are not successful there, then they are leaving without having a degree, so they've spent all this money, and an increasing a big part of our cost of going to school is actually the time we spend, the opportunity costs.
Right.
And so they've spent all this time, they spent all this money, and then if they're leaving without a degree or at least some kind of credential, that's not helpful to the students. At public institutions like Purdue University Northwest, we're very affordable. We have a very low tuition, which means that even the out-of-pocket cost for students tends to be low. And then as we're paying attention to the success of students as they're coming in, like what sort of programs are working, what do we need to shore up, that what we're trying to do is to have the students come in, have a seamless transition. We're just talking about transitions as they're going through their academic programs, to be able to have a lower time to degree, and so that they're not having to spend extra time in school. And the part of that that we need to be looking at scheduling of courses, the sequencing of classes, and again having the curriculum that's relevant to students and that's flexible enough that will meet the employer's needs. I will say that when people, and I have heard some people say, like, what's the value of higher education? Many of the ones who are saying that have higher degrees themselves. At least a bachelor's degree, if not higher. So it always puzzles me a bit, because it was enough of an investment and clearly has worked in many of these individuals' cases.
Well, and I've also over the years thought it's sort of a false dichotomy that there is. We actually have tremendous partnerships with skilled trades in occupations that may not require a 4-year degree. One of the partnerships that has been really exciting, we've seen a program develop over the last couple of years with Ton and Blank Construction, where folks that have been in the construction trades for many years and very experienced and successful, who want to finish a 4-year degree but haven't, we now have sort of a collaborative partnership where those returning students, many of whom are well advanced in their careers, are in the same classroom with 19 and 20-year-olds going through management training and courses like that together. I mean, I think that's really a prime example of how to kind of bridge the divide between this notion that it's either this or this. It's probably more of a both and rather than an either or, because our workforce needs a lot of different types of folks with different types of education, training, and skills.
Absolutely, and then thinking about, a lot of times we think about the traditional 4-year college degree. As an institution, we're also investing more in terms of certificate programs, so students are able to, they may not be certain that they want to invest in a 4-year degree or take that amount of time, but then they can take a sequence of courses and collect, I don't want to say collect, but earn a credential that should help them in their own career trajectories. We are looking at ways that we have some programs where we can stack the certificates together, so that as individuals are able to get these credentials, and over time they stack to a degree. So they get that short-term credential that will help them with their more immediate needs, but then they're still making an investment in a longer-term program.
I imagine that flexibility is very helpful for a lot of students and their families, yeah. Well, as we kind of come to a close today, Idis, I'm going to kind of throw it back to you for a little bit. You have been here at the university now for a few years and have been at the forefront of a lot of these Hispanic Serving Institution initiatives. Talk to our listeners a little bit about some of the resources that, from your vantage point, are the most impactful, the things that you feel are most exciting, that are really helping kind of drive our Hispanic serving focus forward.
Okay, well, first I'd like to make a note on the serving, because we talked a lot about being in the Midwest, and then versus like in Texas, where universities are just already Hispanic serving because of the demographics. But here I want to say that even before we became a Hispanic serving institution officially, we were already serving. When I came in February of 2022, Vice Chancellor Depew already had set that culture and that initiative forward, and this university was already going above and beyond on the serving piece. I want to say, even without the designation, we've always had initiatives on campus that move this agenda forward, not only for Hispanic students, but for all our students on campus, because the focus has always been on student success for all our students. And this is just enhancing the whole campus. And we have lots of resources, like Trios mentioned, that's a big resource on campus. We have a McNair program for our students. We have college success coaches that we just got from a grant, who are doing amazing, that are able to work with our students. We have first-year advising now on our campus that's really making an impact on all our students. We have our Office of HSI that we do lots of different programming on campus for students. So it's not only that we're celebrating now during Hispanic Heritage Month, but we're celebrating throughout the whole year and having intentional programming done for our students. And not only that, but we're collaborating collaborating across campus, especially with our first gen office, on offering lots of different workshops and programs. So it's amazing how we have like all come together on on this sheer focus of creating this unity and focusing on student success and really highlighting also all our HSI initiatives.
Well, it has been a really remarkable team effort to see all of this happening, and certainly congratulations to all three of you and so many others who had a critical role in making this come to pass as we've become the largest HSI in the state of Indiana. Well, we've covered a whole lot of ground today. I really appreciate all of you taking some time out of your day to come talk to us about the significance of PNW as a Hispanic serving institution and all of the wonderful things happening during Hispanic Heritage Month. I want to just ask, where can our listeners learn more if they'd like to know more about what's going on this month on campus?
Well, there's lots of different places on our website. We have actually, if you would like information in Spanish, our website is in Spanish. That takes you to various different pages in our office where lots of our different services are listed. And we also have a specific page for our Hispanic Heritage Month events where you can go and read in detail about every event that we have going on and register for them.
One-stop shop.
One-stop shop, yeah. And we have lots of social media, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, that's
it's almost
fantastic.
PNW.
That is great. Well, again, thank you all for spending time with us here this morning on PNW Today here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. I'm Matt Wells, signing off.